So it's the day of the test and you actually have to do map testing with your students. This video will describe step by step what you have to do. Now the first step is to log into nwea.org and log in. Once again, it will ask for your login information. Now make sure that you have this to hand. This is probably not an appropriate time to be faffing around with forgot username or password. So hopefully that is saved and you can log in quickly. What we can see here is that we're presented with the same screen as previously, and we're going to go back to our managed test sessions. But this time we're going to look at the saved testing session that we set up last time. Now you should have the list of testing sessions ready, and what we're going to do here on our testing session is select Maths Map 6.1 because we're ready, or basically 6.1 is waiting patiently and quietly for me to administer this map test. And I'm going to select Test Now. So this is the screen that I will see. And what is generated is Maths Map 6.1, which is the session name, and the password. Now this password is generated every time I open up the session. So you won't be able to give this information to the students until you reach this point. So what you can do is write this on the presentation that I give you to share with the students, right? So that they can see the session name and the password. Or you get a very competent student to run up to the board and to write this down. This information is very important so that they can start testing. Now the students, let me show you what they see. They will either go to an email that I sent them with the link to this page, which will take them directly to the testing screen, which looks like this. Now if they are sensible and they've read my instructions and watched the video I've sent them, they will be ready to go. Some students are not going to be able to do that, and that's why it's important that you have this presentation up on the board. And they should know, or you might need to remind them, to write this in their browser, right? So either they do it themselves or they copy that address from the board. Once they do that, they either get the test window or they have to allow pop-ups. This is a bit of an awkward bit, but they might be presented with this. Oops, where's my test window? Basically, they need to find this tiny little icon here, and that will allow them to choose to continue blocking or always allow pop-ups. Obviously, they need to select always allow pop-ups. Done. And then that will definitely take them to, this screen. Okay, now they will need your session name and session password, which hopefully you by now would have put on here. Okay, so they'll see this, or whichever password is relevant. So again, you've either put that there or some student has written it on the board somewhere, but they can do that. As soon as they log in that information, they'll be able to find their name from the drop-down list, and they'll be able to check the information is okay and then start testing. So as they're logging in, what will happen is that the screen will change. Like this will start to increase to be confirmed. As they come in, basically it will say to be confirmed numbers, all the kids that are signing up, and then here the status will change to be confirmed as well. Now you have to confirm them, and as soon as you press that confirm button, they are ready to start. So at the point of confirming them, hopefully you've shared all the appropriate information with them. So you've told them about the requirements, you've reminded them of the expectations, and they're ready to go. Now there are two ways of doing this. Ideally, you give them all the information they need, all of it, while they're sitting there listening to you. Then you give out the Chromebooks, they follow the instructions, and then what you can do is you confirm them as soon as they're ready to be confirmed. Any student that's having technical difficulties, they have to wait. Don't address them while you're confirming kids, because that's just going to stress you out and it's virtually impossible to do two things at once properly. So literally just ask them to sit and wait, and the rest have to be confirmed, and then they're ready to start. And once you've got a couple of kids that having issues with their setup, then you can go and help them. But try and get as many kids as possible working and engaged. Otherwise, it can be quite chaotic to begin with. As a little extra, maths teachers, make sure that students have something to write with and some scrap paper so that they can do some rough work. I think that's probably something that they do quite a lot of in elementary, and so our kids are kind of conditioned into asking for it. Please have that ready for them before you start testing, or it'll be just another thing that you have to run around sorting out later. So that is how you set up testing. You look at your section. I'll just show you again, and we'll run through it really quickly. We go to Manage Test Sessions. Manage Test Sessions. You go to your saved testing session. You would make sure that the right one is selected. And you would wait for all students to basically sort themselves out and become ready for testing, and then you confirm them. And when you confirm them, they are ready to start. So that's the beginning of testing. Now I'm going to explain how to finish the testing. So there are three things that can happen. The first one is the student finishes. If the student finishes, it will say so here, it will say completed, and you don't really have to do anything until the end when you close the session. The second thing is when a student wants to, basically needs a break. They need to get some air, or need to go to the bathroom, etc. Now what you would do then is select the student, here do, and you would pause. Okay, now you pause it, and then when the student comes back in, you simply resume, ensuring that you've selected the right student. You can't lose data if you do this. And the worst that can happen is that you forget to pause it, and basically the time carries on ticking, but that's not particularly disastrous. So pause for up to 25 minutes. If it's a short stop, you press pause, and then when the student comes back, you press resume. And that's the second thing that can happen. The third thing is that the students do not finish. So they don't actually finish testing in the time that you've given them. Now, as I've said before, they should get finished in a double lesson. There might be some exceptional cases, particularly in reading, with some very high achievers, where they take much longer than they should. It's up to you if you want to prolong that testing into the next session. And what you have to do then is to suspend the test. So you click on their names and you select action and you suspend. Now, very rarely you'll be given the opportunity to finish the testing later on that day, in which case you would write test again. You would click test again to bring the students back. That's probably not going to happen if you suspend in the week of testing. You're going to suspend 1 week and finish the next week. So what you would do is click suspend, and then when you open up the session the following week, you'll actually get a separate window. That window will look a little bit like this. So you'll be given the option. The students below have already started, indicate how best to proceed. It's very important that you click resume test. Do not start the test over, whatever you do, just resume test. Okay, so that's pretty much just three things that can happen. The first one, the students complete. You don't have to do anything. Second one, the student needs a short break of less than 25 minutes. You would then pause and then resume. And then the third situation is the student will continue the following week, in which case you suspend and you'll have a completely different window which asks you to resume the testing. In any case, at the end of your first session, end session here. And what that will do is save your session and bring you back to where you were before. Here you can confirm the name, stick to the same one, save and exit, and then that session would still be there for the following time, having the same name and everything. Okay, so that's pretty much it.